Melissa from QT Home Sales and Lettings in Nuneaton, and today I'm joined by Sophie Vanes from the SFB Group in Nuneaton. Today we'll be talking about tax implications on landlords and just answering some of the questions that you guys have been sending in. Well, thank you very much for coming and joining us today.
You're welcome.
Are you ready to get started?
Ready? Yeah.
Okay,
ready
let's go. Okay, so if someone is thinking of becoming a landlord and buying their first investment property, what taxes will they incur and what deadlines will they have to meet?
Okay, so initially you'll have to pay stamp duty tax to obtain the property in the first place. The rates are actually 3% on top if you already own a property to what they were before. This is a recent change, so you're paying a lot of stamp duty these days.
Yeah.
The rental income will be additional income to your current income if you have any, so it will depend on how the level of income you already have to what rate of tax you'll pay
On top of the rental income?
Yeah. There are expenses that will reduce the profit down for the rentals. Deadlines are you will have to sign up to do a self-assessment every year which reports all of your income so you can pay the right amount of tax to the revenue. You have to register and get a UTR number.
Okay.
You can either go on the Government Gateway website and do it yourself, or you can come to an accountant like me.
Okay.
And there we can obtain all your details, put it all in, make sure all the appropriate reliefs are in, you're getting the best deal, make sure everything that's applicable to you is in there to get your tax liability to what it should be.
Fantastic.
You have to do this every year, and it's the 31st of January is the deadline to send the self-assessment to report in and pay the liability.
Okay. And how do they account for the extra income that they receive for being a landlord to the authorities?
So you have to make sure you keep all your books and records to do with the purchase of the property and any improvements, the rental, any expenses you incur in the year. Everything needs to be kept, so we submit the information based on that, and then if the revenue ever want to look into your numbers, you've got it there ready.
So gas certificates, electrical certificates,
That's
any
right,
kind of
yeah.
refurbishments, you keep all the receipts, invoices, everything, and if
Yeah.
they use an accountant like SFB, they'll just bring everything over to you and you go through it all. And
That's it. We need to know what you are due and also what you've been paid. Tax is based on what you're due, but if you've not been paid, we can account for that as well.
Okay.
So both sides.
Lovely, thank you very much. And what are the implications of having a limited company to trade from? Because we get this question quite a lot. People are looking to buy investment properties and they're like, oh, I'm going to start up a limited company because that's going to benefit me more. Is that the case?
It can do. It depends the reasons why you're going to set up the limited company. Tax-wise, you're not going to be saving a lot more these days because of the new dividend tax rates that have come in.
Okay.
So, like for like, they're really similar to the self-employment rates. However, there is different rates for purchasing and selling the company, so you will want to seek advice on that.
Okay. So for those people who are already landlords and have not reported their income, their rental income before, what do they do?
Okay, it's never too late. They will find out in the end, the revenue, so it is always best to just start reporting it ASAP. If you bring your things into an accountant, we can deal with all of the backlog and get you all up to date, but it's always best to tell them rather than they find you.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, what's the worst case scenario? What could happen if someone has had a rental property for years and years and years and not declared it, and then the revenue find out?
They will calculate the liability going years back,
Right.
and add penalties, fines, so
Okay.
they won't
So
be very happy.
A lot more costly potentially. So
Yeah,
as Sophie said, if you haven't already, do go and speak to an accountant, come and have a chat with Sophie, and she will help you work through it all. Okay, thanks Sophie. What does the revenue consider as allowable expenses so that the landlords can claim to reduce their tax bill?
you can claim your gas safety certificates, any insurance for the property, service charges, ground rent management charges from a letting agent. They're all deductible. There's lots more depending on the niche circumstances of the property, but they're the general ones you can definitely claim.
Wonderful, thank you very much. And with regards to the tax changes around the mortgage repayment amounts that people can claim as an expense, how does this affect landlords?
Well, this will only really affect higher rate taxpayers. You could take off the mortgage interest on a property that you did rent out 100%. That is no longer the case. It's they're changing the rules, and by 2020 it will be much clearer. But in the meantime, there's different effective tax rates, so you will want to seek advice on that. But after 2020, it'll just be no loan interest will be allowable for higher rate taxpayers.
Right, okay.
So that could impact your decision whether to take on a rental property in the first place.
Okay, thank you. Do landlords have to pay VAT on properties they buy, sell, or their rental income?
No, you only pay VAT on properties for commercial use.
Okay.
A general individual renting out property, no VAT to worry about.
Good news.
Just another tax.
Yeah. So what are the financial implications for a landlord living and working abroad, but they're renting their property out in England?
That's another really complex area. Depending on, there's so many variables, you will want to seek specialist advice.
Because we've got 3 or 4 overseas landlords, and that was the same thing. Obviously there's so much that we could advise, but we've always passed them on to
We've got a
relevant people.
specialist tax department at SFB, and they know all the complex tax rules around that, and you couldn't begin to explain it until you found someone's personal situation. But
okay. Are there financial implications for landlords if and when they want to dispose of their property portfolio, like for the next generation, for example?
yes, if you dispose of the properties initially, you'll be thinking of capital gains tax, which again is rates of tax depending on your level of income. Or you could transfer your properties for inheritance tax purposes or use a trust. Again, these are really high level complex areas that you will need to get advice on, but there is definitely tax planning involved that we can help you with to mitigate the costs or enable you to pass on the properties in the most financial sense.
Yeah. And I suppose with that in mind, people who are looking to retire or considering their pensions and stuff, that would all be part of that plan, I'm guessing.
Yeah, you have to know someone's entire circumstances and reasons why, and then we could come up with the best strategy for you, especially if you've got a lot of properties, to enable the next generation to take it on and run it viably without large tax bills and having to sell off properties.
It's not just people coming in and giving you a folder full of receipts and invoices. You're very much part of the bigger picture with your clients, which is fantastic. And you've got all those people in place to support them at SFB as well, haven't you?
That's right, yeah. We've got people who are very good at knowing the tax rules at the bottom, so we can do your day-to-day tax return and make sure you're getting all the advice as you're going along, and also the bigger picture. So we've got high-level advisors where we can explain, overseas rules, inheritance tax rules, and we've got experience with clients that have a large portfolio or just your one property per client.
I was just going to say that someone who's just becoming a landlord for the very first time, you would advise them just to come and have a chat, just explain their situation and how you can best help them, basically.
That's it. We do a free consultation, so if anything else, you're going to have some knowledge to take away with you to understand what you're doing next. But it's always best to get some advice before it's too late. So yeah, you're very welcome to come in and speak to us at any time.
Fantastic. Well, all of the SFB contact details will be on the screen now. So Sophie, thank you so much for coming in today and meeting with me and answering all of our questions that our lovely viewers have been sending in. So
you're welcome.
Thank you and take care.
Thank you.
I hope you've enjoyed that today, everybody, and until the next time, see you. Bye bye.